Testing.
Oh,
See, because is that going to get you in?
I don't know. What to find, what to find out. Right, hello guys, welcome to Warhammer. It's a slightly different series this time around, kind of similar to some previous stuff. We've been doing
series.
Yeah, kind of. Well,
you
didn't know that yet, did you?
Evolve. I like it.
Here, I've just roped him in literally then to it being a series. So, very beginning of the channel, I did some question and answer type videos. They were okay, but I didn't have this man.
Well, no, I liked your question and answer type things. They were very good. For
those of you who don't know who he is, I don't know where you've been the last few years for YouTube-based Warhammer type content. And this is Winters. Winters has his own channel. I'll link it below, but there's literally no point because you're probably already subscribing.
Thank you. I'll blush.
Winters kicks out some really quite top quality battle reports. I'm here with him today to film one ourselves. I have no idea where it's gone yet because we haven't played it.
Well, no.
Sometime soon.
Yeah.
So over the last few months I've been chatting to Winters quite a lot about different parts and aspects of the hobby, different things with regarding 8th edition and how 8th edition works, things we like, things we dislike. So in coming over here today to a battle report, we thought maybe we do something for my channel and try and get 2 or 3 more subscribers. So what we did is we prepared a group of questions and I think we're just going to attack it and answer them. First of all, what we'll do is we'll cover 8th edition and kind of our overall impressions of it, I think. Yep. Then we'll do a few questions, and depending on how far we get through and how long that video is, we might then do another video with the rest of these questions, and then I'll probably come and see him daily, I reckon, to just do some more.
You're very professional, yeah. This is good, I like it.
What do you mean professional?
No, it's sort of flowing.
I haven't prepared any, well, there's questions.
Yeah, questions.
But there's no script, I just sort of go for it.
But I think some of the things that you're talking about, so 8th edition and questions about 8th edition, I get asked, because you were asking me.
Yeah.
And I get asked lots of questions like that. And then the conversation starts rolling and people like hearing thoughts and ideas and impressions about 8th edition, and we like talking about it. We like talking about the hobby. So even if no one watches this video, we're going to have a fun time.
I'll enjoy it, yeah. And it'll make a change because it means that my wife isn't getting any bashing about the hobby. Because she doesn't have any input, really.
Yeah, and I can't talk to my wife about the hobby.
No, I know.
Don't talk about it.
She says to me, sit in a corner and play with your toy soldiers. Which is what I do.
Yeah, my wife says toy soldiers as well. This is the studio to me, but to her it's the toy soldier room. I don't
have a studio.
No?
No, I get crammed in the corner of my living room.
I used to have the living room.
Oh,
but then when we moved house, the important thing was, is bedroom 2 large enough to fit all my stuff in it? And
yeah.
About the 3rd house we found was the answer was yes.
I'd have the space, but I'd have to lose the wife and kids.
Yeah? That's a difficult decision.
Anyway, we'll leave this here.
Does she watch these?
She doesn't watch these. No one watches these, mate.
I watch these.
Well, you watch these.
I like your chatty stuff.
You're one of my 3 or 4 views per video. Actually, as of today, I think one of my first videos has hit 400 views.
Has it?
Which is
wow.
Dizzy heights for me.
That's good.
So we'll leave the intro here. There'll probably be another intro later for the next video. We'll leave this intro here, and then we'll start on with what we think of 8th overall, and then we'll go into some more specific questions that I've prepared that could be interesting and they could be absolute rubbish. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is kind of talk about 8th edition overall, our overall impressions, whether we like it, whether we dislike it. I'm sure we will disappear off on a tangent because tends to happen quite a lot.
Yeah.
I do that on my own.
Yeah.
It'll be even worse with this man sat next to me.
Yeah.
I'll go with you first, 8th edition. I'm assuming, I say assuming, it's quite the assumption, I'm assuming you think it's better than 7th in pretty much every way.
Not every way. There's some,
right.
I think there's some significant flaws with 8th edition. So it's a complicated question. Every time you ask a big question, is it good, isn't it? There's not one answer, is it? But one answer. Starting off, yeah, it's better. Of course it's better. Of course, it's a business success. We can see it in the numbers coming back to the hobby. We can see it in the people coming away from other gaming systems coming back into 8th edition. A year ago, a kid walks into a store and says, can I play Warhammer 40k? And the store manager says, yeah, here's the book. And here's another book. Oh, and you need flyers, so here's this other book. And it gives them all these tomes. And now it's, here's a pamphlet. So I think
that you don't even have to pay for if you don't want to.
No, exactly. And how do I organise my army? It's just bring what you want, open play. How many points? Don't worry about that thing. Here's the power level. Just bring what you want, add them all up, job done. So from a business point of view, we know it's a success. Does that mean the game is better? I think you have to, if you use money, if you use successfulness as a sign of whether a game is better or not, then yeah, I think you have to say yes.
Yeah.
So
I feel like there's a but there.
Well, and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah,
The game is a lot more simplified, it's a lot more streamlined. People say maybe it's not as tactical as it was before, but chess is a very simple game with some very simple rules.
Yeah.
But chess is tactical.
Yeah.
The complexity of a rule system doesn't dictate how whether a game is tactical or not.
No, I agree.
So it's a business success and it's popular, and personally I enjoy it more. I was getting a bit fatigued with 7th edition towards the end, and I think there was a percentage of people getting fatigued with it as well, hence the explosion of Horus Heresy in the last year of 2016-2017. I think a lot of that had older school players who'd been in the game for a long time, and they wanted, and they were giving up, and formations and detachments and and they were going on Horus Heresy. So that's my overview of it.
So and I'm kind of with you. So I think 7th edition was bogged down. It was bogged down with rules and books, and there was times I would take 4 or 5 books to play one army in one game, and that's ridiculous. If you had 3 different allies, then perhaps you could justify 3 different codexes, but to take one army and take 4 or 5 books was a little bit insane. So I thought it was really bogged down, overly complicated, definitely was not attractive to new players ever, I think. And there's a couple of friends who I had who, we discussed this earlier, who played the hobby years and years and years ago as children, had a hiatus like most of us do, when beer exists and women exists and etc., and then came back to the hobby. Coming back to the hobby in 7th edition was a nightmare. It was I think it was too much for some people.
Yeah.
And now I think with 8th and how simplified it has become, significantly easy for people to pick it back up, which can only be good for the hobby.
Yeah. It wasn't just such a nightmare coming back because it was so complicated. It was also a nightmare because of some dude coming back to the hobby with his orcs and with his trucks and with his stuff, and he went up against a Riptide Wing, where he went up against Wraith Knights, and suddenly there was D, and suddenly there was this, and he might have played one game and got smashed and thought, no, stop this, I'm not playing this game anymore.
And that was the thing. I also think with 7th there was far too many easily found hard counters. And you tended to find the meta was, the tournament-based scene was dominated by the same types of armies and the same types of lists. And there was meta shift, but it happened really quite obviously, whereby you would find the new shiny, perhaps Riptide Wing, and the next thing you know, there is the next new shiny, which is essentially designed to counter Riptide, and it just kept, and it was not, I didn't think it was ever interesting. I feel with 8th, most of the time, not all the time at the moment, and we'll talk about this later, I feel like with 8th that most of the time you can kind of bring what you want against whatever someone else is bringing, and you'll be okay. There are...
In 7th there were some real big gaps as well. Think about Eldar at the end of 7th. Yeah? Right. How far were Eldar in compared to some other lists, or Tau or something like that? Tau, Eldar. There was massive gaps. Now obviously there's some gaps between codexes. There is different strengths and different weaknesses in different armies, but certain armies that you brought along versus a normal... You could bring now a relatively narrative fluffy list versus a strong tournament list and still stand a chance.
Yeah, which is the big difference.
But at the end of 7th, or even throughout most of 7th, you couldn't do it. You couldn't bring a narrative lift versus three Wraith Knights and Ynnari. It wouldn't happen.
I mean, I was an Eldar player in 7th. Probably why he's digging.
Get out.
We know how much Winters loves Eldar, and for me personally,
it's all their fault, you know.
I've played Eldar for years. I've always loved the fluff behind the sign hands like this.
The Eye of Terror, it's their fault.
And this is John. If you're watching, this is fluff.
The first war in heaven. It's their fault.
Well, you won't know what you're talking about.
The Cicatrix Maledictrum, the Great Rift. Their fault.
Yeah, he won't have a clue. He won't. He does not defluff.
Guilliman coming back, their fault.
That's ridiculous. We'll talk about that later. I played Eldar, and I took them to tournaments, and a couple of times I took them on John's channel. I'm not going to mention it because he doesn't give me any help.
Who's John?
Exactly. And the fallout just by taking Eldar sometimes was unbelievable. There was at one point I played Sam from the Emperor's Path, and I played his Imperial Guard, and it was a bit of a whitewash, and took a relatively fluffy list, relatively, and simply I had a Wraith Knight, and that was basically what won the game, there or thereabouts, and that was quite common. And YouTube lost its mind. John lost subscribers.
Really?
Oh my god! He swears blind he didn't, but he basically banned them from the channel after that because it just was so bad. So for me, who had that army for years and had spent time building and painting it, so to get to a stage in the game where I really couldn't take it without people complaining, it breaks you a little bit. And you kind of lose some love. And that's gone.
That's
now.
an example of how broken it got.
Yeah, of course. I completely agree.
It got broken.
But I do think, and this is where we'll go on to now, I do think there are problems with 8th. GW have said it's a living rule set and it will adapt and it will adjust and it will grow, which is good, and so far they've shown that they're not afraid to FAQ 2 or 3 weeks after a codex or a rulebook has dropped. Surprising, there's a lot of whinging about it when I think that's a really positive change to Games Workshop strategy. Well, because before they wouldn't FAQ for months and months and months, and exactly, and you just have this broken rule set or broken rule or whatever it might be, never get fixed, always arguments.
Black Templars had the same codex for 12 years, I think, until the last, not the last Space Marine codex, but the one before. 10 or 12 years.
My brother plays Black Templars and they're really boring. No, they're not boring, they're right there. But and people are complaining about FAQs now that are coming out fast.
You're not going to please all the people all the time.
No, you won't.
People get upset because the codexes are coming out too quickly, or people get upset because they haven't had a codex for 10 years. People complain. What about the game itself? Playing the game. How do you find 8th edition to play as a game? So, I'm playing this game. I'm playing checkers, I'm playing chess, I'm playing Age of Sigmarine, I'm playing Space Marine, I'm playing 40k. How's the game for you?
It's a tough one.
How many games have you played?
God knows, about 12, 13.
Okay, quite a lot.
On the whole, I prefer it. I think it's easier, it flows better, it's quicker, which is important because it means she doesn't get on my back because I'm spending so much time in the bedroom with the door shut. So it's a little bit faster. There is some issues with it that I have. Now, to start with, when I read the rules and I looked at the new way the cover always worked, I thought, brilliant, they fixed it. And then when I play it and you look at it from a visual standpoint and you think that bloke stood behind that wall, but because he's not on cover, he doesn't get a cover save.
And you can only see his shoulder.
And I'm like, hang on a minute, how does that... It is simpler, which I prefer, but I do kind of think that's not quite right.
Yeah, so there's the vehicle armour facings people have a problem with. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't. I'm okay with that.
Shooting weapons all over the place, I don't have a problem with that. There's a number of the core things that people are worried about. I understand. I do agree with you. I think the cover system's broken.
Yeah.
I think it needs to change. If it was me, I think there's a couple of core problems with 8th edition which would be quick and easy to fix. One of them's the cover system, and I have an idea.
Okay, so I prepared a load of questions.
Can I talk about cover?
This is what I was going to say. Give me a minute. This is my channel, not yours. I know they're all your fans.
I've got stuff to say.
So I have prepared a load of questions here.
I'm your fan.
At his demand. Go and write more questions was his words. I was working at the time. However, I'm interested now to hear about how you want to fix the cover system, because I do agree that's one of my biggest problems with the new edition is the way the cover system works.
So essentially the game right now hasn't really got a cover mechanic. What it works is there's an armour value which goes up or down depending on whether you're in cover or the AP value of the weapon, and that's it.
Yes. Cover
doesn't really exist unless you're wholly within cover. I think there should be if it was me, I would say a flat 5-up save, unmodifiable, if you are at least 50% obscured.
Okay.
And that's it. So you can use because it's got to be simple, right? It's got to be very, very simple. So I was up at Games Workshop on launch day. I was fortunate enough to be invited up there, I was playing with Tabletop Tactics, and on launch day the hall was full. There were hundreds of people in the hall. Their Warhammer Live was up and running, which I was lucky enough to be on, and all the tables were let out. And on the tables, they were all the big gaming tables, but there were a line of tables in front of the Warhammer Live people there, and there were the games designers sat there, and studio heads sat there, and writers sat there, and artists sat there, all signing copies. And me and Lawrence had a problem mid-game, and we thought, how do we do this? And so I think it was Jez Godwin was sat there, and so he tapped him on the shoulder and said,
"Come here."
And it was about cover, because Lawrence thought, right, I'm 50% obscured, I'm not in the terrain, and I was saying, no, you have to be wholly within, and he said, no, wholly within. You've got to be wholly within to gain the cover save. And we asked why, And then we had a big 10-15 minute conversation with I think it was Jez, it could have been someone else. And he said when they were designing 8th edition, this is an insight into GW for you guys out there.
I love this.
When they were designing 8th edition many years ago, they had the 8-year-old rule, which is they were developing a rule system which was so simple you could explain it to an 8-year-old. And if it was too complicated, and if you said, well, this affects this and affects this, and an 8-year-old couldn't get it, then it was out. So they wanted it simple and clear. So if you're wholly within a piece of terrain, you benefit. If you're not in it, so it's something simple that an 8-year-old could understand. Now let's go back to the chess thing, because that seems to dumb down 40k, but it doesn't. Again, chess is a very simple rule set, but it's very strategic, very complicated.
Yes.
It's very. So what they were aiming for was simplicity. Simplicity can breed complexity, chaos theory.
You love this, don't you?
And that's what they were aiming for. So you need, if you add a new cover save mechanic, it has to be very simple. So I would say 5-up unmodifiable save if you're 50% obscured, as well as the new cover system. It can work in conjunction with. So either you use your cover, I'm in wholly within cover, I get +1, so limit 3 becomes a 2-up, I'll take that one. Or I'm behind over here, 50% of my guys are obscured, I'll take my 5-up unmodifiable. So your AP weaponry is still nerfing my power armor, but up to a certain point.
Yes.
And then you get a flat 5-up.
So if your power armor is better than your flat 5-up, you take your power armor.
Yeah. So if there's a pile of
it.
trees, or if there's units in front of you, if you're behind, and you can get down and have a look. Oh yeah. It's simple.
See, I do wonder if the reason why the cover changed from 7th to 8th is because of the arguments that happened about, oh, he's 25, oh, he's 80%, oh, he's 50%. Because I mean, I've certainly experienced that a few times.
Yeah.
Actual full grown men arguing at tournaments because they couldn't quite decide if it was or wasn't 25 or 50% obscured. And I'm one of these people. When I play, if you think it might be, have it.
People actually argued about it. I'd never expressed that, because I don't do talk. Really?
See, I in 7th...
So maybe my idea is bad then.
No, I like your idea. In 7th, I hit the tournaments.
You don't want people arguing over the table. You need something else. What would you do if it's not 25%, it's got to 50%? It's got to be something else.
Yeah, well, honestly, I haven't thought about how to fix it.
You could say, if there was an argument about that, if you're behind cover, so long as you're behind some type of cover, then you get the save. It doesn't have to be obscured or not. If you're behind... And
the basic premise of what you're saying, I think, will work.
If your whole unit is behind another unit... Sorry, I've shut up.
No, it's okay. All I was going to say was, the 8-year rule, you called it? 8-year-old
8-year-old rule.
Yeah. So that, I mean, as a premise, that's great. And I would like to think, with as simple as the rules are now, that's how it would work. However, I still see online, to this day, arguments over things that shouldn't be arguments. So, with Nurgle having just been released, I kicked off a big Facebook group, a Death Guard Legion group. There's 1,300 or 1,400 people in it now, I think, or 1,200 people in it.
Wow.
And there's a big argument that kicked up, and it kicked up across a couple of the groups. Titus as a rule, it's Destroyer Hive. The wording, although this isn't accurate, says something like, the Destroyer Hive always hits on a 5+, regardless of modifiers. There or thereabouts, that's the rule.
Yeah.
His ballistic skill's 2+.
Yeah.
People were arguing, well, does his Destroyer Hive hit on a 5+ or a 2+?
No. Well, people argue because, it's like Overwatch hits on 6s, regardless, unmodifiable, regardless of any other modifiers. That isn't really an argument. That's people who haven't read it clearly.
Or are arguing for the sake of arguing because they want the rule to work the way that they want it to work, rather than actually accepting the fact that, no, I'm sorry, you can't have that benefit.
Yeah. People like to argue. People like to debate. People like to have large debates.
Yeah, and this is the thing. The only problem I have with things like measuring a 25 or 50% obscured is that will always, because I hit the tournament scene hard-ish in 7th edition, because I wanted to play tournaments. Honestly, it partly put me off the hobby, because you get those arguments, and you get the people that I put my order on the table and they would just complain from me off. So
if you're wholly within a piece of terrain, you can get an AP modifier.
Yes.
Or you can pick a 5+ unmodifiable. If you're behind a piece of terrain, your whole unit is entirely behind some trees,
a building,
you can get your unmodifiable 5+.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Job
that.
done.
I think that would work.
Because I think cover is a problem and I think it needs fixing.
So essentially, they should probably employ us as rules writers.
Yeah. No. We'd never get anything done.
No, we wouldn't, because we'd just sit here talking crap instead of actually writing rules.
Yeah.
And then they go, right, it's release day. Well, we've drank a lot of tea.
Yeah.
Right, now we'll move on to the actual...
No, I've got another thing.
Oh, go on.
Because I think there's two big flaws with 8th edition. I like the rule system. I think it's simple, it's streamlined, all the things you said earlier on. But I think there's two things that could, if I was writing it, there are two things that could be fixed. One is the cover system needs a modify.
Yeah, a tweak.
I think the other thing that needs to be modified is reserves.
Why? So I like the new reserve rules. This is interesting.
Okay, so in real life, there is an Alpha Strike army coming in to storm your positions. Yeah? There's two ways to defend against an Alpha Strike army that's coming to storm your positions. Either you make loads and loads of fortifications and bunker up.
Yep.
Or you fall back, let them take the ground, then smush.
Yep.
Yeah? Simple as. In 40k, unless you bring loads of fortifications with you, which no. So say the Grey Knights are coming in, or say the Tau are coming in, Deep Strike Tau in suits. In 4th edition, in 5th edition, in 6th edition, in 7th edition, these Alpha Strike armies, what I did was I reserved as much as possible.
Yep.
Let them come smashing in, and then outflank and come in.
Yes.
I played Tau, suits dropping in, I've played Grey Knights coming in, I've played these type of Alpha Strike armies now, and I can only reserve 2 or 3 units, or 0 units, or da-da.
Oh.
So for the first time in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th edition, I have to stand there and get smashed by a deep striking, alpha striking. You've got a unit 5 tower warriors, 5 tower warriors, 5 tower warriors, 5 tower warriors, and then suddenly you've got loads and loads of suits going, and half your army is wiped off the table in turn 1. That's a problem that never existed in other editions.
Because you can't reserve, can you, unless you have a deep striking type rule?
Nope. Yeah.
So you can't walk on from your board edge?
Yep. So add mech. So there was a game on the channel. I had all my ad mech out. 2 flyers in the sky versus Grey Knights with guys in, came zooming up. All his stuff deep striking in. Turn 2, he has an entire army in my lines going there. And half my army gets wiped out. Turn 2. And in previous editions,
I think either you need to be able to reserve, or we need a slightly different mechanic for when their reserves arrive. It always baffles me how we are in the 41st millennium and armies will deep strike or drop in or come in from orbit or whatever the special rule is now called in 8th, and somehow these high-tech, top-spec armies on tabletop have no idea they're coming.
Yeah.
No idea at all.
Yeah.
That drop pod hurtling through the sky, we won't worry about that.
What drop pod? Can't see it, mate.
Exactly.
Can't see
the
it.
sun's in my eyes.
I just think there was defence against these type of things before. There isn't a defence against these things now. You've got the 3 basic stratagems that you can use, like a reroll or a morale thing. I think there should be a 4th basic stratagem. You spend a command point and you can hold 3 things in reserve or something.
Like it. That's simple.
Done.
Really simple. And it costs you a stratagem, a command point as well.
Yeah.
So you can't just do it, you have to think about what you're... Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
So you know you're going to get smashed, hold a couple of things back. Your really key things that are going to get hit if you leave them on the table. It's something I could have done before, I can't do it now. I think those are the 2 main flaws with 8th edition. I think there's a problem with reserves versus certain armies, and I think there's a problem with the cover mechanic. I'll shut up.
It's alright. My watch is screaming at me going, the camera's about to turn off. So what we'll do now is we'll finally get onto some of these questions. Well, I don't know why I've even bought these. You told me to bring these and we're not even using them.
We'll
do them now.
Some pertinent questions.
We'll do them now.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Winters has had his
rant.
20 minutes, I think, so far. What we're going to do now is we'll move on to some questions that I prepped. So, in leading up to my visit today, I had a chat with him and we chucked up.
For prepping.
Oh yeah, I chucked out some ideas, and he basically said to me, "Go away and write them down." So I'm like, okay, I will.
Because I know your mind. I've watching all your videos. Moorhammer, check it out. I know we're on Moorhammer.
Yeah, we are on Moorhammer.
Yeah.
But thanks.
But I've watched them all, and you just your tangents. You've got a great mind to paint to, because you never know where you'll end up.
I don't know where I'll end up. I really have no idea.
I'm surprised you managed to make it like here.
I often sit down and go, just about.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
couldn't have lived in a slightly more complicated place to find. Anyway, I never know where I'm going. Those of you that watch the channel regularly, hi mum, don't know where I'm going to go with it. I have no idea. I don't prep, because if I prep something, it doesn't come out right. It doesn't. It never works. It's always a bit rigid and a bit stagnant. If I just have an idea of a topic I want to talk about and then go for it, then I'm okay. And I can tend to follow a better process. I did a codex review for Chaos and I hated it.
Yeah?
The video didn't do that badly for a channel of my size, but I didn't like it because I followed the codex structure. I felt less able to just flow with what I wanted to talk about.
Good. Your Death Guard one was really good because you didn't do a review. What you did is say, this is what I'm thinking about bringing, and this is why.
Yeah.
And then you talked about that unit and went all over the place, and that was really good.
Right. So I have 12 cards here.
Okay.
And in normal fashion, which one? Pick a card. Any card you want. This one. So what I've done is I've written little questions on the cards. You won't see them because they're scruffy. I don't like showing scruffy stuff, even though you're with us. Okay, so the first one you picked was a question I wrote out this morning, actually.
Yeah.
And it is simply, currently, is 8th edition too focused on the Imperium versus Chaos?
At the moment, yes.
I think so, massively.
But it won't be in the future.
And I've had this question asked of me actually a few times because clearly we've only had Chaos and Imperial Codexes so far, and people have suggested even with the Xenos Codexes coming, do we think they're going to be kind of pushed to the side out of the way and fluff and all etc. and we're just going to focus on Chaos versus Imperium?
At the moment, yeah, but what's the problem?
Because some people don't like the Chaos versus Imperium stuff and they're interested in the Xenos stuff. I love it. I'm a massive Chaos fan, so it doesn't bother me too much that finally Chaos are getting some love. However, as also an Eldar player,
it's a reset.
It is a reset.
There's been 3 editions of Warhammer 40k. Number 1 and 2, same rule set. 3 to 7 is the same rule set, which is modified, and 8th. So they're resetting 8th. And Primaries Marines and Death Guard and The galaxy's been ripped in half. So, and they've said that they're going to continue to move the narrative forward. We saw Magnus, now we're seeing Guilliman, now we're seeing the other guy, forgot his name,
Mortarion.
And
I mean, he's only building a Death Guard list.
Yeah, then there's going to be some more Primarchs coming up, and my money is on a Demon Primarch before a good guy Primarch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, my money for the next Primarch is the Lion.
Yeah, it could be the Lion.
Only because we're yet to see the Dark Angels Codex.
See, I don't think it's going to be any of the good guys, because I don't think they want to interrupt with the Horus Heresy. The Horus Heresy we know is going to end in the next couple of years.
Yes.
We've had some tweaks and hints from... And so anything about that narrative that could be interrupted or affected by 40k, they don't want to hurt that. Because the Horus Heresy, let's face it, has been a massive success.
Yeah.
It blew them away. I remember again
amazing.
having conversations with them up there, and they were more surprised than us. I think we knew, people in internet land knew, like, yes, it's finally, and reading the books and getting the models, we were lapping it up.
Yeah.
And at Games Workshop they were like, it's selling a lot. So I don't think they want to affect it. I think the Lion could come, but what is happening in the narrative at the end of the Horus Heresy that might impact that? I think it's easier for them. I just think it's easier and cleaner for them to release Demon Primarchs than it is to...
And from a narrative standpoint, I think you're 100% right. The issue you've got is the people out there that if you were then to bring another Chaos Primarch out, and you then have a 3-to-1 Primarch ratio...
Yeah, so what?
And I'm with you. And I am completely with you, but unfortunately a lot of people out there in the ether are not with us, and they would whinge like heck if we had a third
the Lion, at the end of the Horus Heresy, had his legs blown off and he's been in a wheelchair, and like Professor X, a floating wheelchair.
A good model though.
Yeah. With guns hanging off the side, and the lance, and he charges.
Because I mean, I have a theory, this is what we're doing, you see, this is how we digress after the original question. I have a theory that we're going to obviously, I say obviously, I think we'll see Fulgrim, because he's alive as a serpentine demon Primarch that he is out in the warp, and I would imagine we will see. Help me out. Not
Angron.
There we go. Thank you, Angron, because he's obviously already described as a demon Primarch as well.
Is Kurz dead? So, of the Night Lords, is he really dead? Because the feed cuts out.
So I think, and the reason why I think we'll see those two
is Horus dead.
He is. I'm sure. Is he?
He's supposed to be dead at the end of the Horus Heresy, slayed by the hand of the Emperor himself. And Sanguinius, the Emperor comes into the throne, and Sanguinius is wiped out, dead. And Horus is killed by the Emperor, right? Imagine if there's a twist right at the end of the Horus Heresy, and they tell us that's the imperial truth, that Horus has actually been killed, but he wasn't really killed. Imagine if that actually happened.
It would, as a Chaos fan, it would make me happy.
Comes back. So I think the narrative is going to continue forward, and I think they're setting up, once the Horus Heresy is done, in 4, 5, 6 years' time, I think they're setting up a new heresy.
Oh, really? I can see it.
Love it.
I can see it, especially when you consider, like you've just said, how surprised they are at how much it sold. And it only sold so well because that narrative was already there.
Yeah.
The second you've got that kind of epic story, and then you go, you know this story that you love, and we've had so many fans read this, actually here's a whole game system for it.
Yeah.
Of course people were going to buy that series. So it wouldn't surprise me from a business standpoint if they were to set up a second-based narrative, now full of plastic crack rather than the resin stuff from Forge World.
Yeah.
Here you go, have it all over again.
Yeah. I think they're keeping their options open, aren't they? This is snowballing, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's snowballing, and in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, even 30 years' time, if they want to do something freaky again, they can. It's a reset, which is why there's no problem with Imperium versus Chaos. What happened when they reset Star Wars? The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
It's the same movie, right?
It is, just terrible actors.
It's the same movie. There's a Death Star. Instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi dying, Harrison Ford died. It was a reset.
It was
for a new generation.
Oh, and we see the trailers out for the new. This isn't even related to the trailers out for the new one. It's really good.
Yeah. So that's gotta. That's why it's Imperium versus Chaos. It had to be. What would it have been? Imperium versus Orcs?
For the initial release, yeah, I agree. It had to be Imperium versus Chaos. And I'm really chuffed that someone like the Death Guard got a lot of focus and attention, who, model-wise specifically, had not had a lot of love for many years.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember at home I had the old resin Plague Marine set, and I just didn't bother because I hated it. And I ended up buying the Death Guard stuff from Forge World. And I dislike resin. I know you're a Heresy fan. You've got a load of the stuff.
Yep.
I hate working with resin. I'd much rather work with plastics, just because I'm lazy. I'm a lazy gamer. And I even had, because Death Guard just didn't get some love for a long time. So when the Death Guard was announced, chuffed to nuts. And obviously it had to be Death Guard versus Imperium of some sort. No qualms with that. And I was then surprised that the next release was the Grey Knights.
Yeah.
And then now we're seeing Astra Militarum dropping, which I think the Codex is out for purchase this week, depends on how quickly I get this video out, this Saturday coming, or the one just gone, the Astra Militarum are out. And at that stage, you've now had 5 Codexes, 3 Imperial, 2 Chaos, and nothing else on the horizon. Yeah.
Well, Eldar are coming soon. I think the ones, we know that Eldar and Tyranids are coming soon, and if you're watching this later, they're out.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do a good job with both of those. Look. Just to give some Xenos some rules.
Here's some more predictions. This is just me. This is maybe wish fulfillment. It had to be Imperium versus Chaos. I think we can agree on that. I think most people can agree on that. Then the Xenos stuff is going to come out, right?
Yep.
Here's a prediction for you. When they change from Warhammer Fantasy to Age of Sigmar.
Yes. That was a bold move, by the way.
That was a big bold move. A year later, when you went to see Age of Sigmar Marines in the shops, there was loads and loads of new ranges, mini ranges, right?
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar on the table now looks completely different to what Fantasy looked like.
Yes.
And we've seen some of that in 40k. We've seen the Primaries Marines, we've seen all the Death Guard coming out. Yeah?
Yeah.
So there's a whole chunk of new models there. I think once they get over the Chaos versus Imperium there, I think in a year's time, or I don't know I won't put a time limit on, but I want to say at least a year, when they do that's very distracting.
Sorry. It's my wife, I can't ignore it.
What I want to say is there's going to be a ton of new models coming out for 40k, just as there was for Age of Sigmar. So here's some things for you. If you read the Fall of Cadia, and you know that Ynnari Wraith constructs move and act differently.
Yeah.
I can see a whole new Ynnari Wraith range. In Cormorant, the Dark City has been broken apart by warp quakes, and denizens of the Shadow Kingdom have broken out the Mandrakes. I can see a whole new Drukhari range.
I hope so.
They changed the name. The Orcs spilling out of the Octavius system, I can see that. The 4th sphere of expansion from the Tau that got sucked into the warp and will be spat out. I can see Tau coming up all over the place.
Jesus Christ, you know your fluff, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like fluff, and I don't know this much fluff. This is good.
What I'm saying is, during the 8th edition launch, I could talk about fluff forever, that'd be another video.
Yeah.
During the 8th edition launch,
One of the series.
Yeah. They left so many threads open to significant changes to every single one of the Xenos races. And I look at what they did to Age of Sigmarine. That's probably going to cause lots of flaming. I should stop saying that, but it just comes out naturally.
Yeah, but I don't think it will
just
upset my
comes
mum
out
that
naturally.
much.
Okay,
I don't think it was her. She doesn't know what we're talking about anyway.
Sigma.
She's just being supportive.
Yeah, so it looks different. Fantasy looks different now, and I predict that in 1, 2, 3 years' time, 40k is going to look different because there's going to be that many new models for everyone.
I think they've already started the precedent with the Primaries from Marines.
Yeah, and Death Guard.
Yeah, of course. And Death Guard are arguably now what you would consider true scale compared to what they used to be. So yeah, I think we've already started to see that change because the Primaries was a ballsy move, and we'll move on to a question I've got about them in a minute. Because we're going to run out of time on
They
it.
want you to buy new models. So Space Marine players and Chaos players are buying new models. They want all players, Eldar players, Nib players to buy new models.
Well, that's the way they stay in business, isn't it, ultimately?
Right.
And I've got a question about Primaries, which I'm about to ask him, but because of my annoying camera, I'm going to have to pause and reset. Right, so based on the first question that you picked, I then went through the list as we went off on a massive tangent and picked out a couple more, which were all kind of related to the first question. No, it's good. They're all kind of related to the first question.
Yep.
And it's really, this is stuff that I've wanted to hear your opinion on for a long time.
Okay.
So hopefully the internet will want to hear your opinion on it, and that way I'll get loads of subscribers and views.
I hope so.
Well,
I want you to keep churning out videos because I like listening to you when I'm painting away.
a little moment here. Right, so the first question I've got, which kind of links directly onto what you were just talking about, was did we really need Primaris Marines? Now, from my own personal perspective, I got a little bit angry with Primaris Marines.
Yes.
Because I didn't think we needed them. I didn't think they fitted the fluff.
Yeah.
I didn't think they ever needed to exist in the 40k universe. Space Marines were good enough as Space Marines are. How can the Emperor create Space Marines in the image that he created them, and then somehow this bloke called Belisarius comes over and builds better Marines?
The Eldar did it. I could get into the narrative about.
Even the Eldar for everything.
I've got a video coming. I've written a video called "The Emperor of Man is Dead," and it talks about Belisarius Cawl and what he did and the Eldar interference. And I just need to bother to record it. Did we need Primaris Space Marines? As far as the narrative is concerned, no.
Was my thought.
How did it ever happen? How could someone ever surpass what the Emperor of Man did, who, let's face it, is the 40,000-year-old psychic perpetual?
Yes.
The Eldar, because they're millions of years old. But I won't go there, because I'll just go down narrative street forever and ever and ever. So we didn't need them from a narrative point of view. Did we need them from a business point of view? Hell yeah.
Oh, of course.
For two reasons. One, you sell too more models, and two, I believe they're setting up another heresy. Yeah,
which you've already obviously commented on. And I think perhaps you're right for that. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense, because they are immensely popular as models. And to be fair to Games Workshop, taking nothing away from the sculpts that they've kicked out, because the sculpts that they've made are wonderful models. I'm not a Marine fan. I never really have been. I have an army of Dark Angels at home. I've never painted because I just can't get the motivation to paint Marines. I just can't be bothered with them.
Spray them red. Add a few details chopped up.
Red?
Well, because they're Blood Angels.
Dark Angels.
Dark Angels.
Yeah. So that's probably why I like them, because arguably they are chaos.
A green wing or what?
I've got all three types.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't want to go down the whole one type of list, Ravenwing or Deathwing. I have some Deathwing stuff and some Ravenwing stuff and some Greenwing stuff.
Yeah.
Although at the moment they're all Greywing.
I really like the Dark Angels narrative. One of the questions I get asked every now and then is, if you could do it again, knowing what you know now, and you had to pick a Space Marine chapter, it would be Dark Angels.
That would be a good choice.
Apart from the fact I hate the line, for narrative reasons.
Yeah.
Again, I won't go into it, but if any, there's lots of Horus Heresy readers out there, I'm sure, who know what I'm talking about, particularly with the Unremembered Empire and what he did to Kelth, but I'm not going there. The Dark Angels themselves, 40k Dark Angels, very, very good.
Yeah, cool models,
and,
cool rules.
The cloaks, everything.
Yeah, I love them, and that's why I have them. I just haven't been bothered to paint them, because I'm currently, especially since 8th edition, there's that. Darren will be screaming at the screen right now, because since 8th edition's dropped, I've had more in the way of motivation to paint stuff. Predominantly because the Chaos rules are now decent. So I had shelves and shelves and shelves of unpainted or half painted or painted years ago Chaos stuff that I never touched. Excuse me. Since 8th edition dropped, and then the rules came out, they had a codex and the index and all this keyword system started to work together, I was like, now I can use all this stuff.
So what you're focusing on, your Death Guard or other Chaos Space Marines?
I have 3 armies I'm currently painting all at once because it keeps me interested, because I like my videos, I wander off.
Yeah.
So I have, the first one I'm going to try and complete is a 1,000 Suns list.
Sweet.
Different to every other person I've seen so far. There is one demon, and that's the Primarch. The rest is all Marines and Terminators.
New models, new sculpts.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nothing, none of this pink horror, brimstone horror, exalted flame of rubbish that really annoys me currently.
I like that.
I get quite passionate about that because I hate it, and I want a slow marching, dust-filled, power-armoured line of awesomeness.
All this dust.
Whether it will be any good or not, I have no idea. But I think it will look cool on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably going to finish, because they're halfway there, my World Eater stuff.
Okay.
Because I love the World Eaters were my first love with chaos. That was what I loved, was the angry red massacring berserker type fluff.
Yeah.
And there was no rhyme or reason to it. They just killed anything that moved. I love that kind of stuff. So I should probably then finish them off, and then the reason why I'm now probably backseating painting my Death Guard for a while is just because there's a lot of Death Guard out there at the moment.
Right.
So I'm trying to do something a little bit different.
Okay.
And when I film battle reports, because my channel's not quite ready for battle reports yet, I film over at Visicast. I said the name, damn it. And George is basically George is basically, I mean, he'd smashed Mortarion out in about a week and got him on the channel. So he's already got a Death Guard army that he's playing with on the channel, so I want to bring something a little bit different. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, you can bring your 1,000 Suns up here.
I need to finish painting them first, but yeah, I will. I'll get on it.
Have you started?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no, I've started.
Yeah.
I've got probably about half the list that I've already built and based and started to put paint on it. So it's just getting that motivation.
I don't paint lists. I just paint armies.
Yeah.
I don't build lists. Like the Death Guard for me, I didn't fix a list. I want like 3 or 4 or 5 of everything.
Yeah, I would like to have that level of sort of that room to move on lists, just to have so much that you can go, actually today I want to take that, that and that.
Yeah.
Darren, who, we'll talk about Darren in another video actually.
The channel really. That's why. If I didn't have a channel, it would just be this and that's it. In fact, that's what it was before the channel, it was this.
Yeah, and John's like that, and Darren's different. We'll talk about Darren in another video, because Darren's done something very kind, and it wasn't a reach around. And his Eldar, I don't know if you've seen it on Visicast,
you said it again.
I did, it's terrible, isn't it? I can't help it, because I'm talking about Darren there at least.
Yeah.
His Eldar, I can't remember the craft model off the top of my head, Ulfway, he has a plethora of models. So if you watch his videos, he never takes the same list twice. Never.
Yeah, but it's always got a Wraith Knight in it.
No. He very rarely takes one.
Doesn't he?
No,
okay.
That's normally me.
I don't watch that channel anyway. I don't know who does.
No. There's a load of subscribers to it, but I just think it's accidental clicks.
It's a pity subscribe.
Yeah. So I don't know, how have we started talking about me painting chaos when I asked the question, why do we need Primaries?
Primarchs, something about Primarchs.
No, it's Primaries. Did we need Primaries? Primarchs is the next one.
Did we need Primaries? From a narrative point of view, no.
No.
From a business point of view, yes.
At least they're nice
but
models.
Also, if you really think about the long game from a narrative point of view, yes, actually. The knee-jerk reaction is no, but if we want an evolving narrative where the 41st millennium eventually just falls apart, and there's another heresy, and there's demon Primarchs and good guy Primarchs, and they're battling each other one more time, chapters split apart. I mean, the Blood Angels are on one side of the Great Rift.
Yeah.
And the other side of the Great Rift, let's not forget, that is Old Night. They can't see the Astronomicon. That is exactly as the galaxy was before the coming of the Emperor. They are. It's hell on earth, or hell in the galaxy. It is as bad can be. The Blood Angels, it would be brilliant if they turned.
I'd love that.
If they turned.
Yeah, I would love that.
And that's where the Primaris starts. That's where the new heresy starts. And, there's probably never going to be another heresy. But at least it gets fluff junkies like me thinking about it, and people are asking.
Yeah, and it gets you excited. And even if they don't go that direction, there's no reason why potentially on your channel, for example, you couldn't go that direction and make your own narrative.
Here's the thing. When the Horus Heresy is done, all the things that kept us fluff junkies going was asking questions about the Horus Heresy and how and what and who and why. And when it's done, most of those questions will be answered.
Yeah.
So they've thrown us a few more bones
Yeah.
and said, no, you can talk about this. What about this and what about this?
And Winters is going to bring his Primaries Marines against whatever I decide to take. I haven't
Yep.
quite made up my mind yet.
Yep.
Later on his channel, and you can head over and watch it.
Yep.
I will link it,
Yep.
but I know that you'll already probably be subscribing to it anyway.
It is.
As of today, there was 193 subscribers on my channel.
Was it?
Yeah.
The last time I watched it, it was like 140. So that was like a week ago.
Yeah, it's climbed quite well in a week, so
That's good.
hopefully it'll keep going, and this will hopefully help. Right, I'm going to ask one more question for this video because it's related to what we've just been talking about, and hopefully we won't then lead on to another question, and then maybe we'll do another video. Yeah, I'm probably going to because there's a load of questions here I haven't even looked at.
Yeah.
Right, next one.
Okay.
Right, so we just spoke about Primaries Marines, we massively diverted on a tangent, we spoke about Primarchs a few times, and that led me to another question that I wrote last night. This is one that I'm actually, although I own 2 of the 3 models already, I actually feel quite strongly about. And it's ironic, because I keep taking them when I'm not playing filmed games, because they're not quite painted yet. The question is really simple, and it is currently, in the current edition of 40k, as we currently stand, with all the armies that are out there, do we think Primarchs potentially have ruined the game slightly? Are they too powerful as individual models when you consider what other armies have access to?
Well, you feel quite strongly about it, so perhaps I offer the floor to you, sir.
Yeah, I think they are. I've got an absolute vendetta.
What is it? Have they ruined the game versus too powerful? So, do you think they've ruined the game? That's your question. Are they too powerful is another thing, because power doesn't mean anything. You can have something that is strength 100, wounds 100, toughness 100, and if it costs 1,000,000 points, so long as the points and the power level is equivalent.
And that's where I think we fall down.
So, are they too powerful? The real question is, are they too cheap for the points of the power level they are? Should they be 600, 800 points?
All 3 of them I think are too cheap, if I'm honest.
So that's answered that question. Are they
I am massively too cheap.
Then the other thing is, have they ruined the game?
And this is a tough one. So, I love the Primarch models, apart from the.
I came across as really condescending. I'm sorry.
No, the loyalist one. I don't like. I can't even say his name half the time. How you're a fluff junkie. How do you pronounce?
Most people say reboot, but it's not. It's rebooty because it's based on French.
Yeah.
Rebooty Gunmen.
Gunmen, that'll do me.
And if you listen to the audio things, that's what they say.
Well, for every video I've ever mentioned him, I always say I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. If that's how Winters tells me to say it, that's how I'll say it from now on.
So they say in the audio.
I hate the Gunmen model. I despise his rules. I've played him a couple of times and I hate him with a passion. Probably because he's a pain in the arse. And obviously, I own Magnus and Mortarion. Both of those are 18 odd wound, big demon monstrosities. So from the off, you can target them.
Yep.
Now, I do think they're massively undercosted for what they do, both of them. I mean, Mortarion's 470, Magnus is 425. Amazingly, there's that difference when I think Magnus is potentially as good, if not better, than Mortarion because of his psychic capability. However, far too cheap for what they can do, in my opinion. However, at least you have a chance because you can target them from the off. It was better before the Chaos Codex dropped because Magnus didn't have access to that power that gave him +1 to his invulnerable save.
Yep.
So now you're talking a 3+ invulnerable save rerolling 1s.
Yep.
We're then dangerously close, I think, to 7th edition cheese.
Yep.
Dangerously close to it there.
Okay.
Rerolling invulnerable saves. I know mortal wounds are a thing, so it's not that bad, but still, I think we're dangerously close. And then you've got Mortarion, who has access to a power which allows you a -1 when you target him, plus he's got his disgustingly resilient and his 4-up invulnerable and his 3-up armour and his toughness 7 or whatever it is. So he's the maths said that I think it was 3 last cannon predators all firing at him mathematically would do something like 9 to 10 wounds in the that's 3 triple last cannon predators firing at him.
Okay.
That's a lot of firepower firing at one unit. And I think it's more points than him as well to do half the damage. So I think they're too cheap. Then comes on to my Nemesis Gunmen, who being less than 10 wounds, you think, well, he's less than 10 wounds, he's half the wounds of the 2 guys, he's not as tough. Yeah, but then you can't target him.
And when you kill him, he gets back up again.
Oh my God. Did you see the game when I played Darren with my Eldar and he had Gunmen on the table?
Yeah.
And I killed him and I almost did a naked dance
in
John's flat and then he got straight back up on 6 wounds.
Yeah.
I almost flipped the table. Almost gone, I've had enough of that, nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's bad enough that he is that powerful, or that tough, that he can get back up with wounds and you can't target him unless you're nearest to him. Then when you consider the auras that he kicks out, I think he's game breaking.
Okay.
Belisarius allows reroll all to hits. It's a good rule and it's very strong. I don't think it's broken. There's models out there that reroll to wounds. Mortarion has a aura ability that allows all plague weapons to reroll to wounds, and he allows rerolls to hit of a 1. How Gulliman allows all rerolls to hit and all rerolls to wounds, I don't understand how that was ever a good idea.
Yeah.
Do I think the Primarchs are a good idea in a game? Yes. Yeah, definitely. Do I think their current rule set is a bit broken? I think they probably are. I think there's matches and games that I've watched where I think a Primarch's ruined it. I certainly know from my experience I've dropped Magnus on the table.
So, go
on. And he is the reason I've won the game. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's not fun for me, it's not fun for the guy I'm playing. Because he just walks through slapping everything with his sword and there's no tactic behind it, there's no ability behind it.
In those games, is your opponent trying to kill Magnus, targeting and trying and focusing a lot of firepower into Magnus? What I'm asking is, if, say your opponent had decided to ignore Magnus and throw everything at everything else in the army, would it have been a different game?
Possibly.
Because that's the thing about Death Star units, be it a big squad of bikes or whatever it might be in whatever edition, these guys are Death Star units, right?
Yes, on their own.
A Death Star unit is something that can take a lot of damage and give out a lot of damage. So you've got the Death Star tax, which is, do you throw everything at them or nothing at them? So the question is, in those games, if they targeted everything else and left Magnus alone, how would it have turned out?
It would have been an interesting game. Because obviously Magnus can go from unit to unit, but arguably, I mean, he can smite and he can charge, so he's got the potential to potentially...
Smite hits the closest unit, right?
Yeah, so he can do 2 units a turn if things go well.
Yeah.
He can kill 2 units a turn.
But defending smite is quite simple. You put a unit of scouts out, or a unit thing out. You need your bubble wrap, you need cheap unit of nerdlings. Smite that's closest.
Yeah. I think maybe you're right, but because of the experience I've had so far, it's almost like bringing my elder to the table on 7th. The second you put and I love the models, and I love the fluff behind the big demon Primarch Magnus and Mortarion, and you dump them on the table and you can just see people go, right, okay, one of those games.
Yeah. I would, unless you bring a Death Star yourself, I ignore Death Stars and I throw everything at everything else.
Yeah.
And I've done that for a number of editions. Gulliman's a problem, but apart from the first couple of tournaments after 8th dropped, what army has Gulliman been in that's won a tournament? Like Nova. I mean, Nova, that was Guard. The one before that, the Air Open, that was Assassins. Gulliman
that was an insane list.
Gulliman hasn't... Yeah, well, that's a great list. There's crazy gamemanship there. Gulliman hasn't been in a list that's won a tournament in the last 2 or 3 months.
No, I suppose. I don't think he's broken it in the sense that you walk every game if you have him. I just don't think it's fun at times to play against.
Yeah.
And it's not even him necessarily because of his auras, like I say. When you're facing a list that is hitting on 3s, we're on all to hits, wounding or whatever it might be, 3s or 4s. I mean, my best mate, he's terrible for bubble wrapping Gulliman and hell blasters. And that's ridiculous. And he overcharges them on purpose as well, just because he really likes to watch me cry.
Actually, I'm thinking about this too much, because I've got Gulliman up there, and I had him way back in January whenever he was released, and I haven't bothered painting him or putting him on the channel, because something inside me says, nah, it's a bit dirty.
Yeah, so you know.
So I know. Yeah, because I could. I could field him tomorrow, but no.
You'd have to paint him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've got some time. I'm going to wrap this up in the next section before the camera dies, and we'll end this video here.
They've got to have Primaries in the game. Maybe they just need a few more 100 points on them.
I mean, from your logic of what's going to happen in the future, yeah, I think you're right. I think they do. But I do think they need a points adjustment or some sort of balancing there. Perhaps it's different. Perhaps when all the codexes are out, you'll find that actually they don't make any difference really in the grand scheme, and they find their place. Maybe, I don't know. Like I just tried to say,
sorry,
you're right. I'm going to wrap this up just before this camera dies. we'll then do another. We'll wrap it up once the camera's died on our last little section because it's bloody annoying. And then that'll be the end of this video because I think we're about an hour already.
Are we?
It must be, yeah. I think we're about 4 or 5 10-minute sections, and we've got another bit to go. We'll wrap that up and that'll be it. And then if he's happy to, at some point today, it might not be straight away, we'll do a second video just because this is gold. This is gold dust. This stuff is wonderful. I've also got another little video to do where we're going to present him with something. Don't worry, PG rated.
Will it be painful?
No, you won't. There will not be tears. Well, there will be tears in your eyes, but for an entirely different reason. And then we will hopefully have a couple of videos with this man. Maybe I'll be able to come back in the future if he likes me enough, and we'll do some more. When there's even more codexes out and even more tweaks to the rules, etc.
No, you can stay on that other channel with your friend.
No, don't call him that. Right, so we've answered some questions that I had, not as many as I'd liked because we've disappeared off on tangents, and I think it's been a wonderful video. I'm hoping people enjoy listening to this and listen to us ramble on or say paint or whatever they might do. I've loved it so far, and we've just had a little chat off camera, and we're going to have a cup of tea in a minute because we need a tea. I bought biscuits for him as well.
Biscuits?
Yeah, and then you have to dunk, apparently.
Yeah.
And then once we've done that, we're going to probably do another video because Winters has kindly said, yeah, we'll keep talking.
I'll just chat away. So long as I've got tea and biscuits, I'll keep that.
Because this is good fun.
Yeah.
So this is part 1, there will be a part 2, and in the future, hopefully there'll be a part 3 and a part 4 and a part maybe 5 and whatever. It depends on how much you can stand me.
You came prepared. You put all these questions along. I want to get through them.
Yeah, and then, which is, thank you, it helps me. Well, I say help, it doesn't even help me that much. I just really enjoy it. So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So look out for part 2. Clearly, if you hated this, at least go over and check out Winters' channel for battle reports. Like I said, I'm not anywhere near battle reports just yet. Hopefully sometime in the near future I'll be there or thereabouts because it's something I want to do, because I feel like, although I've already said I film on a different channel for battle reports, I feel like I could do something a little bit different, a little bit more narrative based rather than just this is the hard meta type lists all the time.
Cool. I'm looking forward to your battle reports coming up, and I would say that if there's any of my subscribers who've come over to listen to this, then subscribe to this channel, because I like doing stuff like this, and if you like watching stuff like this, then you need to encourage this guy here to do more stuff like this, and getting subscribers and getting feedback is the manner that helps us.
Yeah, and certainly this is going to be, I think, when I started the channel I was kind of like, let's do battle reports, and then because of how much it takes to get there I started doing this. And I actually think this is going to be the bread and butter of this channel now, because it's just what I like.
Chatting.
Yeah, it's what I like doing, what I enjoy doing. If I can get other people on the channel similar to yourself to do this sort of talk.
You've got Forged Narrative, Frontline Gaming do loads of stuff like this, and they get thousands of views. There's no real reason why. There isn't really a UK-based chatting channel. And you could be it.
And if I'm completely honest with you, I don't even care about thousands of views. I just care about sitting there talking hobby and then giving it to the community.
Which is why we did another video, because if you turn the camera off and we go downstairs and have a cup of tea, then I'll answer those questions anyway.
Oh yeah, we will talk about it. It's just whether we do it for you lot or not, and hopefully we'll do it for you and you'll enjoy it and you'll keep coming back for more. Obviously, if you haven't already, head on over and subscribe to Winters' channel. I'm assuming most of you already have, and in fact most of you that are watching this video probably because he told you to come over and watch it anyway. If you haven't, go over and subscribe. Obviously, YouTube recently stiffed this poor man with your on-demand channel being up and then gone again. So Winters has now got a Patreon page. I'll link it in the description below. Head on over and give him money, because if you give him money, he keeps kicking out. I've just seen his hobby room and the level of scenery and it's amazing what he's got here. And he doesn't do it just because he can. He does it for the love of the hobby, and he does it for you lot. He does it for people to watch these reports. He doesn't have to spend hours and hours and hours filming and recording and editing and sticking it out there on YouTube and listening to people whinge and moan.
The reason why I'm trying to expand as well is, if it was just me and there was no video, I wouldn't bother trying to expand, because it's just me.
Yeah.
But because for some strange reason it's turned out to be a little bit popular, then I'm trying to expand the diversity and stuff, and I can't do it on my own. I don't have enough time.
Ever so humble, aren't you, as well?
No, that's just the truth. I want to do more, but I can't. So I need to pay commission painters. I need to pay other people to do stuff for me, and my budget from her just covers what I can do right now. So I can't go any further without any help. So that's why it's happened.
And I urge you to go and help him. I certainly will be doing it soon. I think YouTube subscriptions about
You haven't
to
done it
start to. No, I haven't. I'll be honest. Awful person.
$2.
I'm telling everyone else to do. Alright,
Do you know from Patreon after they take a cut and PayPal, it's like $1. Right?
Yeah, no, I'll give you more than $2. Don't you worry about
conversion.
that. Maybe $3.
Thanks. Let's go have a cup of tea.
Yeah, we'll have a cup of tea. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Part 2.